Hello, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. I would like to share a few thoughts with you about why we cannot feel for somebody else anything that we haven't felt for ourselves. Until we've met ourselves really deeply, we're really just living in kind of an echo chamber of our own projections. We're not really able to connect with the other person and their reality because we're so caught up in our own insecurity of, am I loved enough, am I valued enough? And so you're not able to hear the other person's concerns. You need a lot of validation, and so you keep trying to please people, and you're in that kind of constant effort to please. You can't relax, you're restless, you're never sure, you're never about where you stand in a relationship. The smallest things end up being triggers. If someone tries to communicate something that's like constructive criticism, you get triggered because you feel rejected, because we're so busy trying to win it, trying to earn it, because you're used to this idea of yourself as unworthy. So when someone comes along who just gives you, who loves you without you having to earn it, you start to get suspicious. You start to think, what do they want out of me? And because you don't see yourself that way. So like, how can they think I'm so cool or I'm so lovable when I don't think I'm lovable? So they must be dishonest, or maybe they want something from me. And because we're not able to see ourselves in that way that they're able to see us, we push them away. And we self-sabotage. We sabotage our relationships, our situations. When we got good things going for us, but deep inside you're not feeling worthy, you don't feel you feel like, I'm not good enough, I'm to keep this up, and I'm probably going to lose it tomorrow anyway, and all these kind of thoughts. We sabotage it before we lose it by itself, and we don't want to suffer. We fear that we lose that thing. So before we lose it and suffer the pain of losing it and feeling like a failure for doing that, we end up sabotaging it so we feel like we're in control. We tend to get attracted to our abusers and to the exact kind of energy that put us in pain and suffering, because we recognize that pain and suffering and we form a sort of emotional addiction to that state of being, because that's all we've known. And so when someone validates that inferior sense of self, when someone speaks to that victimized sense of self, we tend to connect more, because we have low regard for ourselves when we're in that kind of a situation. So when there's that low regard for yourself, that's when we become vulnerable to abuse and are not able to recognize it, and often mistake that for love, Or what we do is we end up abusing those people who love us the way we've been abused, because that's the kind of modeling we've received, where abuse is normal. If we come from abusive families where there is this constant intensity and this constant emotional uncertainty and emotional instability, that becomes our normal. That becomes how we are conditioned to operate in love relationships or in any relationship, right? There's always this instability and uncertainty and this fear that, maybe they don't love me enough, and all that kind of stuff. And if that intensity isn't there, and if it's feeling very normal and calm, you don't buy it, you don't believe it, because your mental association with love is that it needs to have that certain intensity. To love someone is really to love yourself. And it's the opposite of narcissism. It's not this kind of love for self that's coming from deprivation or from lack and from need and from trying to compensate for feeling less than what you are. Rather, this is the kind of love where there's no need. There's no need for validation. You're not hunting for validation. You're not mistaking love for validation. You're not mistaking love for the feeling that somebody else might be able to save you or may be able to complete you. Right? That's often mistaken for love, but it's not what love is. To not be, in that echo chamber of projections, and to actually see things as they are, to see yourself as lovable, to see yourself, the way the people who love you see you, and to allow them to love you, to allow them in. I think it's really important to do that work on ourselves, and we owe it to not only to ourselves but to our loved ones, to embrace ourselves fully and to take the time to get to know ourselves, just like we would want to go on a date with a beautiful person that we're attracted to. We need to have that kind of curiosity about ourselves, that kind of playful openness towards ourselves, and that genuine curiosity, because there is so much in there within you. There's really nothing that is there in anyone else that isn't there in you, potentially speaking, in terms of potential. Whatever greatness you see in anybody else, you have it in you. It's just that you haven't brought it forth, right? So that should be our first and primary project in life, and we owe it to the people who love us and to the people we love